Listen carefully. In a world full of sheep, you don't rise by blending in. You rise by becoming inevitable, cold, focused, unmoved. Most people drift through life half asleep, begging for guidance, approval, permission to exist. But not you, not anymore. You're here because something inside you is stirring. The part that refuses to bow, refuses to chase, refuses to be shaped by weaker minds. That instinct you feel right now, that quiet tension in your chest, that's the first breath of the wolf within you, the one that's done pretending to be harmless. The wolf doesn't follow. It observes, it calculates, it moves with precision while the herd panics in circles. This world rewards the decisive, the disciplined, the ones who build their power in silence, and that is exactly who you're becoming. On Psyrhythm, we don't teach you how to survive. We teach you how to dominate your inner world so the outer world bends. If you're ready to sharpen your edge, to purge the softness that's been holding you back, then anchor your intent right now. Declare it publicly. Comment, "My mind is my first weapon," because from this point forward, you lead with that weapon. Every hour, every decision, every breath. Number 2, the shift from prey to predator. You've spent too many years watching the world from the sidelines, convinced that patience, kindness, and quiet endurance would buy you respect. But here's the truth. No one had the spine to tell you. The world only respects what it fears losing, and you cannot be respected while you behave like prey. Prey waits. Prey hesitates. Prey hopes someone else will make the decisions, set the pace, clear the path. But predators, true predators, create their own gravity. They pull opportunities toward them through certainty, through discipline, through a presence that demands attention without begging for it. That's the shift you must make now. From reacting to shaping, from hoping to claiming, from being moved to becoming the one who moves others, because the moment you stop seeking permission, you stop being a sheep in the field and start becoming the storm on the horizon. Machiavelli understood this. Power doesn't come to the gentle. It comes to the prepared. It comes to the willing. It comes to the individual who studies people not to imitate them, but to anticipate them. Dark psychology isn't about manipulation. It's about understanding the impulses that rule the masses so you never get trapped by them again. Most people chase comfort. You will chase clarity. Most people avoid pressure. You will seek it because pressure forges precision. Most people crumble under scrutiny. You will grow sharper beneath it. This is the mindset shift that separates the hunted from the unstoppable. And if you truly intend to rise, quietly, relentlessly, strategically, then you must anchor that decision publicly. Comment again to solidify the identity you're building. I advance while others hesitate. Say it because it marks the moment you stop moving like the rest of the herd and start moving like someone who knows exactly where they're going and exactly what they intend to take from life. You are not here to feel powerful for a moment. You are here to become power in motion. And this transformation begins now, not tomorrow, not someday, now. Number 3, the birth of psychological armor. To evolve into the kind of person who cannot be shaken, you must first understand why the world tries so hard to control you. People fear what they cannot predict. They fear what they cannot influence. That is why they pressure you to be soft, agreeable, cooperative, and endlessly patient. A man with no edges is easier to guide. A mind with no boundaries is easier to penetrate. But when you begin to think independently, when you begin to act with intention instead of impulse, you become a disruption to their comfortable routines, and disruptions are always seen as threats. This is where the wolf inside you learns to stop shrinking. You do not argue with the herd. You do not explain your motives or defend your pace. You move with a quiet certainty that forces others to adjust. That is the essence of realistic power, not noise but direction, not aggression but control. Machiavelli wrote that a leader must learn to balance mercy and ruthlessness, shaping both as tools instead of weaknesses. You are not here to become cruel. You are here to become calculated. You are not here to manipulate. You are here to master awareness, so you never again fall victim to the illusions that keep most men asleep. The more you observe, the more you detect the fragile strings pulling people's behaviors. You begin to see who is driven by fear, who is enslaved by ego, who is blinded by desire. And every time you recognize another pattern, another trigger, another hidden insecurity, your mind becomes harder to infiltrate. You cannot be played by what you understand. This is how psychological armor is built, layer by meticulous layer. And as your armor strengthens, your presence shifts. You speak less, but your silence carries weight. You engage less, but your focus cuts deeper. You need less from the world, and the world gives you more in return. To lock this evolution into place, comment once more. I move with deliberate power. Let it be the phrase that marks your shift from internal chaos to internal command now. Number 4, the cold edge of inner command. Power isn't granted to those who wait. It gravitates toward those who carve themselves into something the world cannot ignore. To reach that level, you must dismantle the emotional impulses that once dictated your decisions and replace them with strategy, restraint, and the kind of internal discipline that rattles anyone who expects you to still operate like the old version of yourself. The wolf rising within you does not bark for attention. It calculates, observing the landscape, identifying weaknesses, and choosing the moments that matter. This is where you begin to practice the cold clarity that Machiavelli understood. The control of self before the influence of others. Most people are ruled by urgency, reacting to every slight, every noise, every fragment of discomfort. But you will not be like them. You will operate from a higher vantage point, understanding that power comes from emotional neutrality, from studying the patterns of human behavior without being pulled into them. When someone tries to provoke you, you won't flinch, you'll analyze. When someone tries to guilt you, you won't fold. You'll measure intention. This is realistic stoicism, not a forced calm, but the mastery of your inner battlefield. The more you control your internal reactions, the less the external world can control you. That is why dark psychology, when applied ethically and with awareness, becomes a shield rather than a weapon. It teaches you to identify manipulation before it reaches you, to sense hidden motives before they entangle you, to walk through social environments like a strategist among amateurs. And as your awareness sharpens, people will instinctively adjust around you. They may not know why, but they'll feel it. The steadiness, the presence, the silent authority. You'll speak with fewer words, but each one will land with twice the impact. You'll move with fewer doubts, but each step will carry 3 times the purpose. You won't need to prove who you are. Everything about your energy will confirm it. This is the moment where identity becomes destiny, where your self-control turns into influence, and your influence turns into quiet dominance. Hold this transformation firmly, because once you cross this psychological threshold, there is no returning to the man who once hesitated. Now comment, I rise through discipline. Number 5, the architecture of unshakable presence. To ascend into a higher tier of mental sovereignty, you must first understand that most people crumble because they try to navigate life with untrained instincts, unfiltered emotions, and unexamined assumptions. The wolf within you rises only when you recognize that every situation, every conversation, and every environment is a field of influence. And influence always rewards the individual who remains conscious while others drift through their days. Half-aware true power doesn't always announce itself. Often, it enters quietly, carried in the posture of someone who refuses to be rushed, refuses to be provoked, and refuses to be emotionally captured by the chaos around them. This is where you develop the discipline of internal stillness, the kind that allows you to observe without absorbing, to anticipate without exposing your intentions, and to execute without seeking applause. Many mistake detachment for indifference, but the wolf understands the difference. Indifference is weakness. Detachment is precision. When you detach, you create space to evaluate motives without clouded judgment, to sense fears that people try to hide, and to determine what deserves your energy and what deserves only silence. Machiavelli emphasized that a leader must be both fox and lion, subtle enough to perceive traps and strong enough to deter threats. You embody this duality when you move with calm strength, aware of every detail yet ruled by none. Dark psychology, when used responsibly, teaches you to recognize the emotional signatures people broadcast, often without realizing it. Insecurity reveals itself in excessive noise, envy shows itself in subtle resistance. Deceit appears in inconsistencies. Once you learn to read these signals, interactions feel less like guessing games and more like transparent exchanges where nothing important escapes your attention. This clarity frees you from overreacting because you no longer interpret behavior at face value. You interpret it through patterns. And the moment you begin to understand patterns, you become resilient to manipulation, sabotage, and emotional ambushes. You stop taking things personally and start taking things strategically. You realize that most conflicts are attempts to pull you into someone else's chaos, but you have no obligation to enter battles that don't elevate you. With enhanced awareness comes a deeper, quieter confidence. Not the type that needs validation, but the kind that radiates from knowing you are prepared for everything and dependent on nothing. Your presence sharpens because your mind has sharpened. Your focus strengthens because your priorities have crystallized. Your energy becomes rarer, heavier, more deliberate. People will sense it. Some will respect it. Some will fear it. Some will misunderstand it. That is irrelevant. Your path is not shaped by their interpretations. It is shaped by your commitment to becoming the most disciplined, aware version of yourself. And that version of you cannot be provoked, cannot be derailed, and cannot be diminished. And as this transformation deepens, you will begin to notice how your decisions grow sharper, how your priorities become unshakable, and how your ability to remain calm under pressure turns into a quiet authority that others instinctively acknowledge even when they cannot explain why. Because the strength you cultivate within yourself radiates outward in ways that reshape every interaction, every opportunity, and every path you choose to pursue with a resolve that anchors your identity in unwavering inner command. Now comment, I command my inner world. Number 6. The law of strategic isolation. To become untouchable in a world overflowing with noise, you must master the art of strategic isolation, the kind of solitude that strengthens your judgment instead of weakening your spirit. Most people fear being alone because silence forces them to confront their untrained minds, but you will embrace it because silence sharpens perception, and perception sharpens power. Strategic isolation is not about hiding from the world. It is about rising above it long enough to see its dynamics clearly. When you step back from the constant chatter of the herd, you begin to recognize how predictable most people are, how quickly they reveal their insecurities, how easily they react to small triggers, how desperately they chase distraction to avoid looking inward. And the more you study them from a distance, the more you understand that emotional turbulence is the default state of the masses. That is why you must detach, observe, and rebuild your mental architecture without external interference. When you isolate yourself with intention, you strip away the weak patterns you've inherited from the environment around you. You stop absorbing fears that aren't yours, stop accepting limitations that were projected onto you, and stop believing narratives built by people who never mastered their own lives. This isolation becomes a crucible where your instincts refine and your priorities reorganize. You begin to see what actually matters, separating genuine ambition from ego-driven impulses, separating discipline from performative effort, separating strength from mere aggression. Machiavelli understood this separation well. He taught that a ruler must distance himself from the noise of the crowd to maintain clarity, because clarity creates foresight, and foresight prevents destruction. In your own life, foresight becomes a weapon when others waste energy reacting. You start noticing patterns before they unfold, sensing tensions before they erupt, and predicting outcomes before they materialize. And this awareness gives you a formidable advantage. You move with certainty while others stumble through confusion. But understand this, strategic isolation is not permanent withdrawal. It is a deliberate phase of sharpening, a period where you refine your emotional endurance, strengthen your mental boundaries, and rebuild your internal code so tightly that no one can infiltrate it again. Once your inner world becomes fortified, you re-enter society with a presence that feels heavier, steadier, and impossible to push off balance. People will sense something different in you, a stillness that commands respect, a confidence that doesn't need validation, a discipline that exposes their lack of it. They may test you at first, trying to poke holes in your calm, but when they see you respond with precision instead of defensiveness, with analysis instead of anger, with silence instead of desperation, they will recalibrate their approach. Predators recognize other predators, and the herd instinctively senses when a wolf walks among them. This is the transformation that isolation produces, not loneliness, but power, not distance, but distinction. You rise above the emotional volatility that consumes the masses, and through that rise, you become someone whose presence alters the room without raising a voice. You carry yourself like a man who is no longer negotiating with weakness, no longer explaining his path, no longer bending to expectations built by people who never built anything themselves. And as this strength solidifies, you will understand that you don't need the world to approve of you. You need only to understand it, navigate it, and outgrow it. That is the essence of strategic isolation, the willingness to step away long enough to evolve beyond the noise, then return with a mind fortified, a vision sharpened, and a presence that cannot be diluted by anyone's insecurity. Now comment, I rise above the noise. Number 7. The discipline of controlled power. Power without discipline collapses under its own weight, and discipline without direction turns into sterile routine. So your next evolution is learning to merge both into a force that moves through the world with silence, precision, and inevitability. Most men chase power the way children chase shadows, without understanding what they're pursuing or why it always slips out of reach. They imitate confidence instead of cultivating it. They mimic strength instead of developing it. They talk like wolves while living like sheep, hoping that loud words can mask quiet fears. But you are not here to imitate anything. You are here to become something deliberate, something composed, something that does not flinch when the world tries to test your resolve. Controlled power is the kind of force that doesn't need to be displayed to be felt. It radiates from the way you analyze a situation before acting, from the way you choose silence over impulsive reaction, from the way you maintain your standards even when others reward you for lowering them. Machiavelli wrote that a leader must be feared more than loved if he cannot be both. But fear in its highest form is not created through intimidation. It is created through unwavering self-command. People fear what they cannot predict, and a man who controls himself is the most unpredictable force they will ever face. Controlled power begins internally, with your habits becoming sharper and your mind becoming harder to manipulate. You wake with intention instead of drifting through the day. You choose discipline over convenience, knowing that every small decision is a brick in the architecture of your future. While others allow their moods to dictate their actions, you allow your goals to dictate your behavior. When the weak seek comfort, you seek mastery. When the distracted seek escape, you seek refinement. You begin to understand that emotional regulation is not suppression, it is redirection. Anger becomes fuel for focus. Fear becomes a signal for preparation. Doubt becomes a challenge for growth. And every time you convert raw emotion into strategic action, you strengthen the internal engine that will carry you through storms that break lesser men. As your discipline deepens, your presence transforms. You don't rush because your mind is anchored. You don't boast because your results speak in a language louder than ego. You don't overreact because you see the broader picture that impulsive men overlook. People will feel this shift long before they can articulate it. They'll sense the steadiness in your tone, the sharpness behind your silence, the calculation behind your decisions. They may interpret it as confidence, but it is something far rarer: sovereignty over your inner world. This sovereignty makes you immune to manipulation because your emotions are not exposed for others to exploit. It makes you immune to envy because your self-worth is not dependent on comparison. It makes you immune to insecurity because your identity is built on discipline, not validation. Controlled power is also the ability to walk away, not out of fear, but out of principle. You don't stay in environments that weaken you. You don't entertain conversations that drain you. You don't tolerate relationships that pull you backward. Withdrawal becomes an act of strength, not avoidance. You walk away because you know your value and because your mission requires more than being entangled in the chaos of undisciplined minds. People may accuse you of being distant, cold, or detached, but the truth is simple. A man cannot build an empire if he is constantly tending to the fires of other people's insecurities. And here is the truth most never grasp. Controlled power is not loud, not aggressive, not desperate for acknowledgement. It is quiet authority. It is the man who listens more than he speaks, because listening reveals the motives behind words. It is the man who observes more than he reacts, because observation protects him from traps. It is the man who acts with purpose instead of impulse, because purpose is the only thing stronger than emotion. As this discipline becomes instinct, you will notice that challenges that once overwhelmed you now feel small. Distractions that once blinded you now feel irrelevant. People who once intimidated you now feel predictable. This transformation doesn't make you emotionless, it makes you formidable. You feel everything, but you are ruled by nothing. You carry weight, not tension, intention, not chaos, precision, not noise. You become the kind of man others look to when the room loses direction, because your mind does not waver and your presence does not fracture. You become the anchor in a sea of instability, the calm in an environment of panic, the strategist in a world addicted to reaction. And once you reach this state, power is no longer something you chase. It becomes something you exude naturally. Now comment, I control my power. My power doesn't control me. Number 8, the mind of the unmovable strategist. To ascend into the next stage of your evolution, you must understand that true strength is not measured by brute force or by how loudly a man declares his intentions. It is measured by the depth of his patience, the clarity of his perception, and the precision of his strategy. You are not becoming stronger merely to withstand impact. You are becoming stronger so you can shape outcomes, redirect momentum, and influence the direction of your own life with mastery instead of desperation. Most men are trapped because they confuse movement with progress. They chase noise, chase attention, chase validation, believing that constant activity proves their worth. But a strategist moves differently. A strategist knows that every action must serve the larger arc of his purpose. A strategist knows when to advance and when to wait, when to speak, and when silence delivers a sharper message than words ever could. A strategist knows that timing is more powerful than speed and positioning is more powerful than emotion. You are becoming this strategist, not by accident, but by conscious refinement of your inner world. To develop the mind of an unmovable strategist, you must first master the art of deliberate observation. Most people listen only to respond. You will listen to understand. Most people watch only what is obvious. You will watch what is subtle. Human behavior is a map. Every tone shift, every pause, every inconsistency reveals something about a person's inner world. You gain power not by reacting to what people show you, but by recognizing what they try to hide. When someone raises their voice, it often reveals insecurity, not dominance. When someone demands your attention, it often exposes their fear of irrelevance. When someone rushes you, it often signals they don't want you to think. When someone flatters you excessively, it often means they want access to something you guard. The strategist reads these things instantly, not to manipulate, but to navigate reality with clarity, because clarity is the true currency of power. Next, you must master the discipline of emotional deceleration. When the world speeds up, when tempers flare, when chaos tries to grip your attention, your power will come from slowing down your internal world. This is where you separate yourself from the impulsive masses. You inhale deeply, gather your mind, and allow the unnecessary noise to fall away. You do not allow fear to accelerate your thinking or anger to blur your intentions. When others become frantic, you become still. When others panic, you become composed. When others rush to speak, you choose your words with intent. This ability to slow your internal state in high-pressure situations is what creates the aura of unshakable presence, the kind that makes others instinctively look to you for direction, even if they cannot articulate why. You are the calm center in the middle of their storm. Another critical element of strategic mastery is understanding the currency of your energy. Your time is valuable, but your energy is priceless. You cannot allow everyone access to it. You cannot allow every argument to drain it. You cannot allow every invitation to distract it. You conserve your energy the same way a disciplined general conserves resources before a battle. Not out of fear, but out of foresight. The strategist knows that his energy must be used only where it yields meaningful results. You will learn to walk away from conversations that circle in emotional chaos, from people who exhaust your spirit, from situations that offer noise but no advancement. Walking away is not retreat, it is refinement. It is the understanding that your direction is too important to be compromised by trivial engagements. As your mastery grows, you begin to understand that not everything requires your reaction, not everyone deserves your explanation, and not every challenge is worth your involvement. You rise above petty conflicts because you recognize they siphon the very strength you are cultivating. You stop seeking to correct every misconception because you realize misunderstandings are often more revealing than the truth. You stop trying to prove yourself to those who cannot comprehend your path because your mission does not depend on their approval. This is how the strategist maintains dominance, not through force, but through selective engagement. Another pillar of unmovable strategy is internal loyalty. You must become loyal to your future self, the man you are building, the version of you that values discipline over impulse, purpose over distraction, mastery over mediocrity. Every decision you make must serve that future. You do not sabotage tomorrow for the comfort of today. You do not break your own code because the world tempts you with convenience, and you do not betray yourself for the validation of people who don't carry your vision. Internal loyalty creates internal strength, and internal strength creates external influence. As you develop this mindset, your presence will shift in ways others cannot ignore. They will sense that you do not chase approval. They will sense that you do not fear silence. They will sense that your identity is forged from something deeper than ego or external praise. Some will admire you for it. Others will resent you for it. That is the price of becoming unmovable. Your strength will trigger the insecurity of the untrained. But their discomfort is not your concern. Your concern is mastery, clarity, sovereignty. This, ultimately, is the mind of the unmovable strategist, a mind that sees beyond the moment, a mind that chooses purpose over impulse, a mind that cannot be rushed, broken, or manipulated. You are no longer simply walking through life. You are navigating it with intention, precision, and a silent authority that grows stronger with every disciplined choice you make. The world becomes different when you think like this. Not because the world changed, but because you did. And once you evolve into this level of awareness, there is no return to the man you were before. Now comment, my strategy shapes my strength. Number 9, the psychology of silent dominance. Silent dominance is not about intimidation, arrogance, or outward displays of force. It is about cultivating such internal stability, such unwavering clarity of mind, that your very presence reshapes the behavior of others without a single word. This form of power is rare because it cannot be faked, borrowed, or performed. It emerges only after a man has confronted himself without flinching, stripped away the illusions that once controlled him, and rebuilt his mind into something disciplined, strategic, and immune to emotional disruption. Most people rely on volume to assert themselves because they lack depth. They rely on aggression because they lack certainty. They rely on showmanship because they lack substance. But you You are learning to build the kind of presence that speaks before your voice does, a presence carved from consistency, restraint, and a refusal to be moved by trivialities that consume the masses. Silent dominance begins with internal regulation. When you do not react impulsively, when you do not entertain provocation, when you do not give the world the satisfaction of seeing you rattled, you communicate an unspoken message. I control myself, therefore nothing else can control me. Most will never understand how powerful this is. They mistake your calm for passivity, your stillness for indifference, your silence for weakness. But in time, their assumptions collapse under the weight of your results. Silence is not the absence of power. Silence is the refinement of it. As you develop this trait, you begin to see how easily others reveal themselves. Those who speak excessively often fear their own thoughts. Those who rush to fill the silence often fear insignificance. Those who demand constant validation often fear being unseen. And those who react emotionally to your calm presence often fear losing control. Silent dominance exposes these insecurities, not because you aim to manipulate, but because your steadiness becomes a mirror in which others confront their own instability. This is why the powerful rarely explain themselves. Every time you refuse to justify your actions, you reinforce the narrative that your path is your own. Every time you maintain composure while others unravel, you demonstrate that their chaos cannot infiltrate your mind. Every time you respond with precision instead of emotion, you remind the world that your self-command is unbreakable. And it is this self-command that draws respect, not the superficial respect given out of fear, but the deeper respect given out of recognition. People may not admire your silence at first, but they will learn not to underestimate it. Silent dominance also requires mastery of selective presence. You do not give everyone access to you because you understand scarcity breeds value. When you are always accessible, your presence loses weight. When you are always available, your energy is taken for granted. But when your attention is reserved, intentional, and earned, others instinctively recognize its significance. You become someone who enters a room without trying to be seen, yet people notice. You become someone who speaks rarely, yet every word lands with impact. You become someone whose boundaries are not spoken but understood. And while others chase relevance, you allow relevance to form around you through the gravity of your discipline. This is the paradox of silent dominance. The less you demand respect, the more you receive it, because respect given freely has no value, but respect earned through presence becomes unshakable. Another pillar of silent dominance is emotional opacity. You do not reveal your intentions prematurely. You do not expose your fears to those who haven't earned your trust. You do not hand others the psychological weapons that could be used against you. Instead, you become strategically unreadable. A calm face hides the storms you've survived. A steady tone hides the battles you've fought. A controlled demeanor hides the growth you've earned. This is not deception, it is self-protection. Most people broadcast their weaknesses without realizing it. They reveal their insecurities in their reactions, their desires in their speech, their fears in their posture. But you are constructing an internal fortress, not to isolate yourself, but to ensure that only those worthy of access ever receive it. This level of emotional opacity confuses manipulators, disarms aggressors, and disrupts anyone who depends on instability to gain advantage. The predictable are easily controlled, the unreadable cannot be touched. But silent dominance is not simply about what you withhold. It is also about the intentionality behind what you allow. When you choose to speak, your words must be deliberate. When you choose to act, your actions must be decisive. When you choose to confront, your timing must be advantageous. The strategist within you ensures that every move serves the broader architecture of your life. You no longer waste effort on battles that do not matter. You no longer expend energy proving points to people whose opinions carry no weight. You no longer dilute your power by scattering it across meaningless pursuits. Instead, your life becomes concentrated, focused, directional. The fewer battles you fight, the more victories you win. The fewer words you use, the more authority they carry. The fewer people you allow close, the more peace you command. This is what silent dominance creates, a life governed by intention, not reaction. And as this psychological transformation deepens, something else emerges: presence-based influence. Influence not built on force or fear, but on consistency, on resilience, on the quiet gravity of someone who has forged himself from the inside out. People follow those who do not fold. People trust those who do not waver. People respect those who do not betray themselves. And as you embody these qualities, you become the axis around which environments shift. You do not demand influence, you attract it. You do not shout for recognition, you receive it naturally. You do not chase approval. The world leans toward your steadiness because chaos always seeks an anchor, and you have become that anchor. This is the psychology of silent dominance, a discipline so deeply integrated into your identity that you walk through life with an aura that speaks louder than any roar. Now comment, "My silence is power." Number 10, the discipline of purposeful direction. To complete your transformation into someone who cannot be moved, broken, or redirected, you must internalize the final principle that elevates all the power you have been building: the discipline of purposeful direction. Strength without direction becomes chaos. Focus without purpose becomes stagnation. And ambition without structure becomes self-sabotage. You have learned silence, strategy, restraint, and the art of projecting steadiness into a world addicted to noise. But now you must anchor all of it to a mission that keeps you aligned even when distractions appear tempting and weakness tries to whisper old stories into your mind. Purpose is not found, it is defined. It is shaped through decisions, refined through discipline, and strengthened through every challenge you choose to grow from instead of escape. Most people drift because they wait for purpose to reveal itself, but you move differently. You create purpose by choosing a direction and pouring your consistency into it until the world must acknowledge your momentum. The man with purpose walks heavier, speaks clearer, and sees farther. His mind is less vulnerable to doubt because every action has meaning, and meaning is the antidote to fear. The world cannot easily mislead someone who knows exactly where he is going. When you carry purpose, setbacks become data, not defeat. Obstacles become tests, not traps. And the opinions of the crowd become irrelevant background noise. Purpose gives shape to your days, creating structure where there was once drift, creating discipline where there was once impulse, and creating clarity where there was once confusion. You stop asking whether you are good enough and start asking whether a decision serves your mission. You stop wondering who approves of you and start measuring whether a path aligns with your code. And slowly, your life transitions from reaction to orchestration. The stronger your purpose becomes, the less the world can sway you, because power flows naturally to the man who refuses to abandon his direction. Purpose does not need to be grand or dramatic. It must simply be real, personal, and backed by unwavering commitment. And once you commit, your identity shifts from someone seeking strength to someone embodying it. You evolve from a participant in life to a creator of it, from someone shaped by circumstances to someone shaping them. This is how unbreakable men are made. Not through moments of intensity, but through persistent allegiance to a chosen path. And now you stand at the threshold of that path, sharpened, steady, and ready to move with intention. Every step you take from this point forward must reflect the discipline you've earned, the awareness you've cultivated, and the resolve that now defines you. You no longer move for approval. You move because your path commands your loyalty. You no longer seek shortcuts. You build foundations that endure. And as you advance, the world will feel the shift in your presence. Not because you demand recognition, but because a man guided by purpose reshapes reality simply by walking through it with unshakable inner certainty.